It's a sports fix on a Tuesday night, and it's Wayne the Flowman in the chair, and I'm joined by Jase the Statman Regan, who is on the line. And gee, Jase, we can't get away from joining each other. It feels like it's a Friday night sports show all of a sudden.
Well, I was about to ask the question. We were a bit early, I would have thought, Flowman, but never mind. I always enjoy talking sport with you. You know that.
Love it, and love topics of conversation that we have around the office here. And one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of the programs that have come out, particularly in Victoria and New South Wales, have got doubt over interleague or zone or championship football. Now, Victoria cancelled their country football or community football championship back in 2019. And I note that groups like North Central, which we're covering tonight on the Sports Fix, have said that they don't know whether or not they have an interleague match this year. Do you see, with the COVID-19 situation, and even further removal for country leagues to take each other on in what was once the great grudge match between different interleagues?
Well, look, there's a few factors at play here when it comes to interleague football in Victoria and South Australia, it's got to be said. But just on the Victorian side of things, we knew this was in the gun for some time. Their interleague fixture sort of was, they used a ranking system, and I'm not entirely sure how their ranking system worked to work out who was going to play who in any given year. That seems to have fallen by the wayside now as well. And there's a number of factors at play here. First of all, recruits that come into various competitions now, big name recruits, play for the club, not the league. They're club first, and they have to be because they get paid by their club that they play for, not the league. So the last thing a club wants to do, a la state of origin football at the highest level, is to see a high-priced recruit go out and play in an interleague fixture, do an injury, and then have them out for the rest of the year. So quite often is the case. These guys will sit out the interleague fixtures anyway, which kind of makes them without, I'm not going to say Mickey Mouse affairs because that's not entirely true, but it certainly takes the gloss off them, Flowman, that's for sure.
Yeah, I tell you, when you do take a look at Bendigo, have pulled out of interleague this year until 2022, where they'll look at it again. And you refer to these well-credentialed players, maybe ex-AFL or country footballers of the highest regard that have travelled the places and picked up some coin along the way, not to being available for interleague matches. Did it take the gloss off of being selected in such a squad? And when you go back, and I think if I recall last year when we had the COVID-19 situation, I did a lot of interviews, Jase, with some of the legends of yesteryear, and every one of them said that the highest point of my career was playing 15 interleague games or inter-zone or inter-association games. That was where I really felt I played my best football, and when I was selected in that team, I felt like I'd made it in country football. Have we lost the gloss on the next highest level? And even when we look at cricket and other sports, maybe the same is the case?
Absolutely. And I think you'll find over the years the pathway has changed. Once upon a time, the pathway to the next level of football led through interleague footy. You weren't just a superstar junior then recruited into some sort of an academy squad, taken away and being prepared for the highest level of football. You had to go and pay your dues at senior level in the country. Then whoever you were zoned to in the city would take you on once you proved yourself at interleague level as a 19, 20-year-old, and then you would make your debut at senior level after that in either the VFL or the VFL reserves, whatever it may be. Those pathways have changed now, as we know. Kids are earmarked from 15, 16. Recruiting's never been better. So there are other ways to get to the highest level rather than playing interleague. In fact, if you're playing interleague footy at country level these days, probably not going to get to the highest level. So, look, Flowman, that's a generalisation, of course. There are exceptions to that. But once upon a time, that was the pathway. As we know, and I've said it a couple of times already, the pathway has changed.
The pathway has changed, but the reality is that for these country zones, there are no football matches to be played over those weekends. It seems like a lot of the competitions have penciled in bye rounds this year for what could be potentially a interleague fixture, but no commitment from peak bodies. Is the problem, Jase, more from the peak bodies, the SANFL, the AFL Victoria? Have they taken control of the game at a country level, but are they not fostering it properly at grassroots level?
Well, maybe. I think the one thing you've got in a situation like this is you've got some nervous clubs who wouldn't want star players getting injured in an interleague clash where they're not representing their own club. So that makes representative football, I guess, not necessarily a no-no for the clubs. And there are obviously some advantages to it as well, being able to get your team to play, members of your club to play at the next level and then become better footballers themselves. So you weigh up the risk and reward to that, and these days the clubs seem to be, I think, by and large, and again, generalising here, I know that there are clubs who are big advocates for interleague, and I also know plenty of clubs who aren't. So I think if we generalise, we'd say the clubs don't support interleague as much as they used to, and that leads then to filters through to association level. So there's no real pressure being put on the governing bodies by clubs/associations to play interleague football. That's why it's fallen by the wayside. I guarantee you now, if the pressure was being put on at grassroots level to get these fixtures up and going, they would be being played, no problems.
Yeah, I think past eras of football too, Jase, had a number of extra leagues and everyone was a lot closer to each other in the geographical area. We've seen a lot of amalgamation of leagues. We've seen smaller leagues go by the wayside. Those leagues used to have a rivalry with another particular town up the road which had its own league. These days it's a wide and far-flung situation for country football leagues, and maybe that's where we've lost the rivalries of interleague football, and maybe we've lost the passion to play it.
That's a very good point, and that's going to continue. We're already seeing it now in South Australia, for example, on the Eyre Peninsula. One of the great country carnivals of all time is the Morlock Shield over there, and that's thrown up into a bit of turmoil at the moment now with the loss of the Midwest Football League. So I think interleague is always a tricky thing. I think these days now, I think people are more in tune to the carnival style thing, get it over and done with on one weekend and play multiple people or multiple teams in one location. So there's that factor at play as well. But by and large, again, I'll refer to it, if you want interleague fixtures to be played, then the pressure must come on the governing body from grassroots level. And the reality is, the grassroots level, club and association, the pressure isn't there to play it.
Yeah, very good point from Jase Regan. The Statman will be back on the Sports Fix with more tonight, and we'll also join the Statman when we have the Friday night sports show, the summer edition, coming to a close soon. But soon we'll be talking football right through the week on Sports Fix and into our Friday night football show, sporting show, and Saturday mornings. So Jase, we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, Flowman.